The path narrowed, the light disappeared, and the valley swallowed the sound. David didn't say he felt afraid. He said he walked through it. So here's the mystery. What if the valley of the shadow of death wasn't a metaphor? Psalm 23 is comforting. But this line, it's different. I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. David doesn't say near it. He doesn't say around it. He says through. Through means entering, passing into, being surrounded by. It means you don't get to observe the valley from a safe distance. You have to step inside it, feel its walls close in, hear your footsteps echo back at you, which raises a question. Why would a shepherd lead sheep into a place like that? What kind of path requires walking through death's shadow? In ancient Israel, valleys weren't peaceful. They were ambush zones, steep cliffs, predators above, bandits hiding in shadows, and sunlight that vanished without warning. These weren't the rolling green valleys we picture in paintings. These were narrow gorges carved by flash floods, places where one rockslide could trap you, where predators had the high ground, where the echo of your own footsteps could mask the approach of danger. One step wrong, and you didn't fall, you disappeared. So when David says shadow of death, he means death was close enough to cast one, close enough to feel its presence, close enough that you couldn't pretend it wasn't there. The Hebrew word is samavith. It doesn't just mean sadness. It means deep darkness, a place so dark death feels present. Not future, present. Some scholars translate it as deep darkness, others as shadow of death, but both capture the same reality. This is darkness that has weight, that presses against you, that makes you aware of your mortality with every breath. This wasn't depression. This was danger. Physical, tangible, immediate danger. And David had been there before. He knew what it felt like when death stopped being abstract and became close. Sheep panic in darkness. They freeze. They scatter. They die. It's not their fault. It's their nature. Without a shepherd, darkness is lethal. So shepherds had a choice. Go around the valley longer, safer, slower. Or go through it, faster, riskier, necessary. Because sometimes the greater danger isn't what's in the valley. It's what happens if you delay. David chose through. Why? Because delay could be deadlier than danger. Because waiting for perfect safety meant his sheep would starve. Because sometimes the only way to the green pastures on the other side is through the valley in between. David doesn't say there is no evil. He doesn't deny its presence. He doesn't pretend the danger isn't real. He says, I fear no evil. Why? Because you are with me, not above me watching from heaven, not ahead of me preparing the way, not behind me picking up the pieces. With me, present tense, current location, same darkness, same danger, same valley, but not alone. God didn't remove the valley. He entered it, and that changes everything. Because when you're in the valley with God, you're in a fundamentally different situation than when you're in the valley alone. The valley is the same, but you are not. Two tools. The rod was for enemies, short, heavy, used to strike predators, to break the attack, to defend the defenseless. The staff was for sheep, long, crooked, used to pull them back from ledges, to guide them around danger, to reach them when they've wandered. In the valley, you need both, protection and correction, comfort and authority, because love without strength can't protect, and strength without love destroys what it means to save. Here's the detail most people miss. A shadow cannot harm you. It has no substance, no weight, no power, but it proves something else is there, something blocking the light, something bigger than you. The shadow of death meant death was near, but it wasn't in control, because shadows only exist where light still shines. Shadows are proof that even in the darkest valley, light hasn't been completely extinguished. If God is good, why not erase the valley? Why not eliminate the danger? Why not make every path easy and every journey safe? Because valleys train trust that mountains never could. Mountains show His power, but valleys reveal His presence. On the mountain, you see what God can do. In the valley, you learn who God is. David didn't learn God's closeness on the throne. He didn't learn it in victory. He didn't learn it in comfort. He learned it here, in the shadows, where presence was all he had. Notice this. David never says when the valley ends. He doesn't promise you'll be out by morning. He doesn't give a timeline. He just says through, because valleys are meant to be passed through, not camped in, not worshipped, not feared forever, but also not rushed. You walk through at the pace trust requires. If you're still walking, the valley hasn't won. If you're still moving forward, even slowly, you're winning. Because the only way to lose in the valley is to stop. This verse isn't comforting. Not at first. It's honest. It admits danger exists. Darkness exists. Death exists. Evil is real. The valley is real. But so is presence. And that's what transforms terror into trust. Not the absence of danger, but the presence of the shepherd. The valley didn't disappear, but neither did God. David didn't survive because the valley was empty. He survived because he wasn't alone. So the next time you hear this verse, don't picture peace first. Picture courage, because faith isn't avoiding the valley. It's walking through it with the shepherd beside you. And sometimes that's the only comfort you need.